We're living in times that feel uncertain. The world is loud, things are shifting, plans fall apart, identities unravel, and many of us, even the greatest among us, feel unsteady. But what if I told you that you don't need the world to slow down to find peace? What if steadiness wasn't something outside of you, but something that you could root into no matter what is happening around you? I remember a season in my life where everything I thought was secure was falling apart. There was job changes, relationships were shifting, and as if the world itself felt like it was shaking. I kept waiting around for things to settle, but it wasn't until I rooted myself emotionally, spiritually, and mentally that I felt peace even in the chaos. And maybe this is the part that we forget the most, that even in the chaos, we have access to peace. Not because everything is perfect, but because we're allowed to pause. We're allowed to stop performing. We're allowed to breathe, to feel, to listen. Stillness doesn't mean your problems disappear. It means that you return to yourself. Stillness means you can face what's in front of you with clarity, not panic. Presence, not pressure. It's a small shift, but it's everything. Today, I would like to share 3 ways you can stay rooted, even in a shaky world. Fear lives in the future. Anxiety lives in the what ifs, but peace lives here, in the now. When the world feels too big, come back to your body, come back to your breath. I've come to realize something that's so simple, but it's actually revolutionary in a world that never stops moving. Being present is a language, and most of us never learned how to speak it. We were taught how to speak about the future, to plan, to project, to perform. We were taught how to explain the past, to replay it, to justify it, to carry it like a burden. However, we were not taught how to inhabit the now, how to inhabit the present. Being present isn't passive. It's a practice. It's a language of the body, of breath, of awareness. It feels like this. Right now, I'm okay. I can feel my feet on the ground, and I don't have to know what's next to be at peace right here. But here's the truth. The idea of rooting isn't a new idea. Our ancestors knew how to do this. They didn't have certainty, but they had rhythm. They had land, they had prayer, they had presence. There's a scene in Dances with Wolves that always stayed with me. Everything slows down, the community is gathered, everybody is listening to the rhythms of life, they're interacting with each other, they're listening to the earth. There's no rushing. Everybody is at peace. They're rooted in the current moment. They're not concerned about what's going to happen next. They're just present, rooted in the present and in the current moment. That's what our ancestors knew. Presence wasn't something to achieve. It was a way of being. If we think back in the times, in ancient times, the children of Israel in the wilderness, they didn't know how long the journey would take. But every single day they received just enough bread for that day. That's rooting in the present. They trusted that what I have right here, right now, is enough. Even our elders and our grandparents lived this. They work with their hands. They move with the seasons. They sang different hymns when their hearts felt heavy. They didn't have certainty, but they had presence. And presence is what carried them through. So when the world feels shaky, come back to now. Feel your feet on the ground. Take one breath, say one honest prayer, and take the next small step. This moment right here is where your strength lives. Be faithful where your feet are, because this is how we stay rooted. When the world gets loud, really loud, it's easy to mistake noise for direction. Every scroll, every headline, every opinion is telling you what to do, how fast you should be moving. It's telling you what success should look like, and it's overwhelming. And if you're not anchored in your own truth, you begin to think that the loudest voice must be the right one. But loud doesn't mean true. There's a difference between what's popular and what's right for you. There's a difference between momentum and alignment, and that's where truth comes in. Truth isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper. Sometimes it sounds like stillness, like no, like not now, like No, this isn't who I am. I've experienced this myself when I was trying to get my footing in America. There were so many expectations: how to speak, how to dress, how to belong. And it's easy to lose yourself because you're trying to fit into a system that doesn't consider your story. Rooting in truth meant remembering where I came from, the colors we grew up wearing in Guadeloupe, the rhythms we grew up with, the strength I saw in my parents, even when they couldn't explain everything. That was truth. Even when the world didn't reflect it, I carried it. You're familiar with Nina Simone. Nina Simone was the type of woman who could have played the game. She smiled, stayed safe, and given the world what it wanted, but she didn't. She rooted in truth. When the world wanted entertainment, she gave them Mississippi Got 'em. That song was born from heartbreak and injustice. They banned her music, closed her doors, but she didn't stop. Because truth, even when it's costly, it can set you free. And so Nina Simone said, an artist's duty is to reflect the times in which we live. And that line isn't just for artists. It is for all of us who are called to live in alignment, to tell the truth with our lives, not just our words. So when the world feels uncertain, don't follow the crowd. Go deeper. Root in your truth. Even if it's quiet, even if it goes against the crowd. Because when you stand in truth, the noise doesn't move you. It might swirl around you, but it doesn't shake you. And in a shaky world, that kind of clarity, that's power. You were never meant to carry it all alone. I know the world teaches us how to hustle, how to perform, how to keep things all together. But at some point, you ask yourself, you realize it's not about how much you carry, but it's about knowing where to lean. Whether you may call it ancestors or spirit or God or divine presence, there is something, there is someone holding you. And when you slow down, you start to feel that presence again. Our ancestors didn't have access to therapy or self-help books. They didn't have planners or productivity hacks, but they had prayer. They had ritual, they had song, they had rhythm, and most of all, they had trust. They knew that life was too heavy to carry without the help of the unseen. So they built altars, they lit candles, they anointed their children with oil, they spoke names into the wind, and they trust that someone was listening. There's a reason why our elders would say, call on your people. They didn't mean the ones that were living. They meant the ones that came before you. The ones whose blood run through your vein. The ones who survived so you could be here. That's not just memory. That's power. So if you're tired and if you feel like you're quietly unraveling behind the scenes, I want to remind you that you're not rootless. I want to remind you that you are held. You are connected to something ancient. You are the prayer of someone who came before you. And when you reconnect to that knowing, to that sacred source, you don't just survive. You create, you rise, you remember who you are. So let's take a moment to reflect on what we've uncovered today. This lesson wasn't just about slowing down. It's about remembering what you're rooted in. Because the truth is, the world isn't getting any quieter, but you can still find peace and quiet within yourself. You can still choose to root down rather than be swept away. We talked about 3 major points that you can hold on to when the ground beneath you feels unsteady. Number 1, rooted in present. We live in a culture that glorifies speed. Our ancestors knew the power of rhythm, of breath, and of stillness. Sometimes presence is the most powerful thing you can offer yourself. Be faithful where your feet are. Number 2, rooted in truth. The world is loud, but loud doesn't always mean wise. Truth is quiet sometimes. It is a whisper that says, this is who I really am. Whether it's your story or somebody else's story, truth is what steadies you when the noise gets too loud. And number 3, rooted in something bigger. You were never meant to carry it all. Whether you call it ancestors, spirit, or God, you're connected to something greater than your struggles. And that connection, that is where your peace lives. And it's also where your creativity begins again. So here is what I want you to reflect on today. Where in your life do you feel unsteady right now? And what helps you come back to yourself? Even if it's small, write it down, name it, let it ground you. The world may not calm down right now, but that doesn't mean you have to live in a storm. You get to move with calm, rise steady, and move with grace. If this message resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I post the next video. Sur ce, on se dit à la prochaine. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.